Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Weekend Roundup on the From Cameras to Couches podcast. I, as usual, am your host, Zach Davis.
And I am Emmy Davis.
And we have got quite a bit to talk about, and probably not going to take very long, but we're just going to bust it out here. So, at the top of this, I legit, about 30 seconds ago, just finished reading some quotes from Carla Sofia Gascon, the hot Oscar contender for Emilia Perez, who, in her leading role, has been nominated for Best Actress.
The titular role.
Yeah. She is kind of an interesting character. I was just reading through a couple of comments on here, and this is a very obvious Oscar smear campaign kind of thing that has come out at the very perfect time. But some old comments of hers have been rehashed. Talking about the 2021 Oscars, in which she was saying that she didn't know if she was watching an Afro-Korean festival or a Black Lives Matter protest. She also said that she didn't care about George Floyd and didn't think a lot of people did. Anyway, a lot of this stuff is coming up right now in the movement towards the Oscars. She had a big interview where she was saying that she was not going to pull out of the Oscar race due to controversies like this, and said that she had committed no crimes. Just a very interesting position to take for a trans woman. Who was supposed to be representing groups of minority, and that is kind of like the whole crux of the idea of the film, but also not at all. Anyway, we're gonna break off at minute 1:30 here and not talk about any more Emilia Perez, but that's just wild. Okay, we do have some things to round up this weekend. Emily did go out and see Companion earlier this weekend, the new Jack Quaid, and
Sophie Thatcher.
Sophie Thatcher, thank you.
The heretic girl.
She's got a little bit to talk about that, and we're also going to talk about Sing Sing, which just came to digital this weekend. Got a chance to finally check this one out. It's very, very good. But first, let's talk about some news real quick. At the top of this, I want to mention that Den of Thieves 3 is officially coming. Den of Thieves 2 Pantera is not even out of theaters yet, and people have confirmed that this third one is coming. I'm supposing it made quite a bit at the box office.
Don't even know Den of Thieves. I don't even know who she is.
First one's great. The second one seemed like quite a bit of a slog from what I heard, but people want more of it, so there's going to be a third one. Here's another number for you. Matthew Lillard is returning for Scream 7.
Oh my gosh, I had not heard
huge.
That. And I actually, I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, I think...
Wait, really?
Yeah. I think the number 7 after Scream is the more frightening part of that title, but I
really
do
don't
appreciate
care.
that Lillard's coming back.
Here's my thing about the Scream.
It's nostalgia bait at this point, but I love Scream.
Here's my thing about the Scream movies. It's a good classic slasher every single time. I don't care, and I love it.
It's parodic of every other slasher movie, and it just makes it like one of the ultimate slashers.
It's fantastic, and I love it. And Matthew Lillard coming back to Scream 7, please. Spectacular. Is Definitely. Mikey Madison going to be in it as well?
Who knows? She has launched her career into the stratosphere at this point. I do not think she'll be coming back for Scream 7. That girl costs a pretty penny, and if you need to know, ask Vanya. All right. We got first looks at pictures from the sets and shots of Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. Thank you, Megan, for pointing this one out to me. And the next Knives Out movie, in which Daniel Craig is looking quite grizzled as Mr. Benoit Blanc. He looks thoroughly rough. I'm curious to see if he's taken on like an alcoholic part of his character at this point. But that'll be...
I would be curious to see more development from the Benoit Blanc character,
definitely.
because he's kind of been
very fun detective work.
Very fun, but pretty stagnant as far as his arc. And I would like to see a little bit of development there, but I also enjoy just the simplicity and beauty of the Knives Out franchise.
I agree, but I also disagree in the sense that he's like kind of supposed to be an audience avatar and is supposed to be a representation of the audience figuring out the plot alongside the but in the same stroke, I would
think
like to
knowing
see
the way that franchises like this progress, I think the next natural step
would be within reason for them to have some...
would be to involve his arc a little bit more.
So, when Benoit Blanc's family member shows up in this movie and it's like, oh, hi, Benoit, it's been so long, and then ends up being the murderer, you guys know where you heard it first. Okay, moving on. Terrifier 4 is officially in the works.
Clown. Matthew Lillard in Scream 7 and Terrifier 4. Wow, how exciting.
I'm honestly I'm good on Terrifier. I've outlived it at this point.
I like horror movies.
Yeah, I'm good on just pure mutilation most of the time, but this one's supposed to focus more on art's origin, and Damien said that that's what people have been scrambling for, so a lot of people are going after it. Okay, weekly update for Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. Benny Safdie is now part of the cast, which is super exciting. Benny Safdie, if you don't know him, is his really big break was starring alongside Robert Pattinson in Good Time, one of the earlier A24 movies, I think from 2017. He then, with his brother, very successfully rose to fame directing Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler.
Uncut Gems.
Was also in Nolan's most recent movie, Oppenheimer, where you may see him putting silver paint on all over his face and having like one of what I think is the best still shots of a face in the movie, where he's like wearing the protective glasses and he's got like that. I can't remember what it is that they're using to protect their faces. It's like an aluminum coating or something like that. Very good. Anyway, he is currently working on finishing direction, and I think the movie is completely shot. I think they're probably just in the promotion phase of it, but it's a movie called The Smashing Machine. It's an A24 movie, wrestling biopic starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
A24 is on a wrestling kick. What is this, the third wrestling movie that they've made in 3 years?
What would the third one be? I know Iron Claw, this one. Yeah, I guess Love Lies Bleeding.
Isn't that a wrestling movie?
Not really. She is a fighter,
okay.
But it's
more
more
fighting
of a,
movies,
it's,
I guess.
It's a body horror movie more than anything.
Okay.
She like turns into a creature.
Oh, I
towards the
seen
end of the movie,
I
anyway.
didn't know that.
Really,
and then they're also
exciting stuff.
Is A24 doing that Sydney Sweeney one, or is somebody else?
I don't think so.
Okay. Nevertheless, I'm just thinking
Regardless,
a lot of fighting movies.
They're on a big kick. Supposedly this is the one to like bring Dwayne back. They're saying that this is a huge character role for him.
One.
Yeah.
I thought that was his big that was his Oscar bait.
That was the end of a long, sad career of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson failing to open the box office.
I think it was probably Moana 2 that broke him.
I sincerely doubt that. I believe it was his agent being like, you cannot keep spending money on your teeth. But regardless, I'm very interested to see where this one goes. I'm really like morbidly excited to see what Dwayne's performance is going to be like in this, because
morbidly excited.
I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic that he like comes around and has a total shift in perspective, and everybody's like, okay. He's also Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and you've seen all the ads, you've seen all the Kevin Hart promos, you know who this guy is. Okay, Jake Gyllenhaal is in talks to lead M. Night Shyamalan's next movie. It is a collaborative effort between M. Night Shyamalan and Nicholas Sparks.
That is like just the craziest thing.
It's a supernatural romantic
thriller. That was not
thriller.
on my 2025 bingo card.
This will be interesting. Okay, let's move on to some box office numbers. Now, the number one on this list is one that we didn't get to see, but did open this weekend. Dogman opened with $36 million this weekend. I've heard quite a bit about this one. I've mostly from parents that are like, hey, I'm going to take my kid to go see this weekend. Do you have any recommendations on where to see it? Blah, blah, blah. I've heard it's pretty fun, and it doesn't sound like it's anything like massively inventive or anything like that, but
it's no wild robot, but it's a fun.
We've landed on a spot where Inside Out 2 and Moana 2 and Mufasa are the top 3 grossing movies of this year. So realistically, like, the children are keeping the theater alive, and the parents taking their kids to the theater are keeping the theater alive. So I would rather have it spent on an original property than on Mufasa. Anyway, it moves us on to number 2, which is Companion. Opened this weekend at $9.5 million, which is a pretty sturdy amount for a rated R horror movie. Opening weekend, congratulations to them. That's a good number. Yeah. Mufasa was number 3 in the box office. Speaking of Mufasa, another $6.1 million this weekend in its 7th week, bringing it to a total of $229,510,210.
Can I get 10 of them dollars?
Yeah, Disney is failing. 4, One of Them Days, $6 million. This is his 3rd week, doing just fine.
This is such a great movie.
34.5 million. That's a damn good number for a rated R comedy from like a first time actor like SZA and a big comedian like Keke Palmer. I mean, that very much just like social media face get these people in here, but it's been very successful, and I've heard it's a damn fun movie.
It's a riot. It is very fun. Can totally recommend like grabbing some margs with your girls and then going to see One of Them Days.
This one isn't for the fellas. I believe it is, but I've been told that I'm not allowed to go see it or something along those lines.
Well, One of Them Days, you can go see it, but it's just you probably wouldn't find as much enjoyment out of it as I did.
Yeah. would I find as much enjoyment out of Flight Risk as you did? Because that was number 5 at the box office this week.
Nobody's enjoying Flight Risk. Let's get one thing
second week,
straight.
5.6 million brought in, 20 million total.
No one is enjoying this movie.
How much did this movie cost?
I don't know. I don't know. I want to scream at the top of my lungs whenever I think about it. I had somebody the other day be like, "Oh yeah, I heard that new Mark Wahlberg movie's decent." And I was like, "No, it sucks. Like I'm going to shut you down on this immediately." I'm not typically super negative about like people being like, "Oh, I want to go see this movie." Don't go see that movie. It's a waste of time. I don't want the box office numbers to go up anymore. Let's please.
It cost 26 million to make. It is now at 21 million even.
Please, I beg of you, stop.
Mel's taking that $4,000.
This is my Venom. This is my Venom. Last Dance. Yeah. I hated this movie. I hated it with every fiber of my being.
Do you know what Mel Gibson's next project is?
I don't think I want to.
You do. It's a sequel to The Passion of the Christ.
That's what I was worried that you were
called The Resurrection. It's been long ruminating script in Hollywood. It's been floating around for almost 20 years. I think since The Passion came out, he's been working on this project. It could be very interesting. I've heard a lot of the ideas and themes that are posed by this, and
I'll just watch The Chosen,
the depiction of hell and things like that. I'm curious to see how this one's going to work out. Okay, let's move on. You want to talk about Companion, or do you want?
Okay, I will talk briefly about Companion because we just watched Sing Sing like right before we started recording, and my brain is just so locked in on that I can't even think about Companion right now. But Companion, I really enjoyed. 4-star movie. This is for the girls, but in a delightful way. Ladies, do you want to see a little 5-foot something girl in a pink dress and a headband murdering a bunch of misogynists? Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Sophie Thatcher, I'm obsessed with you. I think that my Letterboxd review for this was something along the lines of like iRobot meets Her but directed by Sofia Coppola. Like this was a very fun movie. Not as much horror as I felt like had been marketed. Definitely more drama, but or thriller even. Very fun. The plot twists are very good. They give you all the information you need to figure it out on your own, but do a very good job of not giving you so much that you're sitting there guessing it before it happens. It's like when the reveal happens, you're kind of like, oh. I also, there's basically, okay, the gist of the movie is this couple goes out to a cabin with a bunch of their friends for just a weekend or what have you. And come to find out that the girl in the couple is a robot. This is revealed fairly early on in the movie. I don't think, and it's in the trailers. I don't feel like I'm spoiling much here. But the owner of the cabin is one of their friends' boyfriends, and he's this rich, older Russian man. And he's played by the guy that plays Mr. Wickham in the 2005 Pride and Prejudice. And I didn't realize this until I was looking up the cast later, because I was like, where do I know him? And it cracked me up a little bit. I was giggling at it for sure. This is just a fun time. This is a fun movie. I recommend going to see it. That's I don't want to talk about it too much because they're spoilies.
Don't take a companion to this movie. Yeah, I understand.
Actually, take a companion to this movie. It was a fun movie.
Thank you for covering Companion. I was pretty curious about this one. I ended up just not seeing it.
I would recommend going to see it.
Between that and Dogman. This weekend was a little quiet with those being the two opening movies, and next weekend is still quiet, but still has some big openers. We'll get into that towards the end of this. But let's go ahead and just bust into Sing Sing because this is the real core of this conversation.
I just need to say something before we start talking about this. I sat during this movie with like tears in my eyes the entire time, and I held it together until the very end, and I'm very proud of myself for that. Did I cry for 10 minutes after the movie ended? Yes, but oh my gosh, what a beautiful, touching story. What a glorious thing that Sing Sing is to behold. Let's talk about it.
It's amazing. So this movie came to streaming this weekend. It actually released on Friday on streaming. It's been hotly contested how the release schedule for this movie has worked.
A24 kind of butchered the release for this.
Completely bungled it.
If it had been better released, this would have been a Best Picture nominee.
I think it would have been Best Picture this year.
It's outstanding.
I mean, between between Anora and this is better without a doubt.
I was gonna say, like, you guys know how much I love Anora, how much I love Mikey Madison. Get ready for me to talk about Coleman Domingo just as much.
Even against The Brutalist, like, which is very obviously one of the most Zach Davis movies ever made. I think this movie is genuinely more important and deserves more acclaim for what it's accomplishing. Because The Brutalist is, in a lot of ways,
it's a very grand American epic. This is a heartfelt. This is like one of the most heartfelt stories.
What I'm talking about is what that movie is giving and what it is saying to the art. And The Brutalist is saying something about how hard it is to make art, and woe is me, the artist. And that is not a bad thing, because I do believe that is a fully authentic emotion for people to feel. Sing Sing is about people that can't feel emotions, that get in touch with them. And not only that, it is about finding hope in hopeless situations. It's about being able to
be vulnerable with people,
come to terms with your situations, and trust the process of these ideas to get out. I do take a little bit of gripe with the ending. I think the ending is a little optimistic, and not very true to the form of the actual. I guess I should probably explain the plot of this movie. This is basically about a theater group in Sing Sing prison. It's a group formed by a man known as John Whitfield. His nickname is Divine G. And he helps to form this theater group to help men, like, cope with their vulnerabilities and issues through acting.
I mean, it initially just starts out as a recreational thing, but like, clearly
it becomes like a therapy thing for all these people. Now we meet these people like well into their process of being these actors. John Whitfield has been a playwright for a while. He eventually meets this relatively gangster-esque guy named Clarence Macklin, Divine Eye. Coleman Domingo is the guy that plays John Whitfield, by the way.
We'll get there later.
This movie's incredible.
Keep talking about the plot.
Yeah, basically, it is just that. It's just about these incarcerated men that are trying to find, like, reasons to be human again, and they find that by being able to escape their surroundings through the acting that they put on. Hello there, folks. Quick diversion. My name is Future Zach. You may know me from a previous podcast and from the future of this podcast, if you have heard that far. But we do talk about Sing Sing in a lot of capacity for the next couple of minutes, and we do spoil quite a bit of the movie. Some of the things that I think are definitely better not knowing going into the movie. So if you haven't seen Sing Sing so far, I make another note on it in just a second, but let me just tell you how important it is to pause it if you are at all interested in this movie, and just go ahead and watch it, then return to the podcast and listen to it later. Okay, bye. There's a very fundamental part of this movie that makes this movie, like, not just beautiful, but, like, profound and transcendent beyond the text. And if you want to watch this movie, pause this for 5 seconds, because I'm about to say something that will completely change what you think about this movie.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, pause.
Almost all of the actors in this movie are actual actors from this actual story of
from the group of incarcerated people is called the RCA.
I tried to hide that from Em earlier, because she was, like, looking at the cast to see where she knew Coleman Domingo from, and I was like, don't look at the cast, because there's like this incredible sequence at the end where it's, like, showing actual footage of the plays that these guys did with this group.
Still have tears on my shirt.
It's like, I was choked up the entire running time of the movie yesterday. I watched it yesterday by myself and told Emily that we needed to watch it tonight, and we did.
I could just, like, thinking about, like, oh my gosh,
she's still processing, so it's gonna.
No, it's so fresh, and, like, I'm actually gonna tear up just considering it. But there's this scene where the theater group is all sitting in a circle, and the like leader of the theater group has them close their eyes and do this exercise where they think about where this perfect place in their minds, this perfect place, this perfect time. Where was it? Were you outside? What was the temperature like? And really does a great job of leading them to this place and getting them settled in it, because I've been in so many weird circumstances where people are like, close your eyes and imagine this, and you can't, because that's all they say.
It's just the way that Brent is, and Brent is also one of the actual professional actors in here. He's also in The Sound of Metal. He's excellent in The Sound of Metal.
Anyways, they all start talking about their places, and one of the men starts talking about how his mom always talked about the islands that his family's from, and he never got to go there, and he was like, I guess that was, like, my place in the back of my mind, but I think that this, like, this
He's
group,
like, I can't escape this prison. I can't. but that's okay because being here with you people is what makes this worthwhile to me. It just moments like that are just absolutely
and watching
beyond beautiful.
The film, the rest of the movie through that lens, like, shattered me, quite frankly. Like, watching these men have these highs and lows, and like the highs are so beautiful, like when they're dancing and they're all laughing and just having the time of their lives, and like watching it and being like, and that is one of the few joyful moments that they get. And like where they get to be free, because when they're not in this small secluded group, they are in Sing Sing prison. They the
maximum security
they have
prison.
To be tough gangsters, like just to survive. And it broke me.
They do and they don't, because
yes, but like
they learn to take away from their experience in the group to,
for sure. I mean, like,
to dodge like all the pitfalls of their prison life, and they don't like ever. There's no shivs. There's no drugs.
There's no drama in the prison, really.
Yeah, there's none of that, like Shawshank Redemption style.
But that's just kind of like a natural understanding of prison,
it is very much just a very humane, reactionary story about emotional vulnerability and about the definition of self through your past and what it takes to overcome that. And it just so many things, and it is so excellently posed. I absolutely recommend seeing this movie. Coleman Domingo is like really good in this. I don't know if I would give him Best Actor over a couple of the other people that are on the list, but he
don't care. I would
do not let that like diminish from the fact that this performance is unbelievable. And just as unbelievable is Clarence Macklin, who plays himself as Divine Eye, who is, like, you can't say something like he was born to play this role. You can't say anything like that, because he's playing himself. But he is so true, and, like, I was watching that scene where they're doing the costume conversation, and he's, like, he's quoting his character of Hamlet, and he says it's these slings and arrows on the inside. And the way that his eyes are like shifting around as Coleman is like talking to him, and you see him like processing this thing.
And like, there's this moment early into their relationship, because clearly throughout the movie they develop like this pretty strong friendship, and Divine Eye kind of like cools down a bit, and he's not so aggressive, which is really cool, because Coleman Domingo's character does end up going through something that makes him a little more aggressive towards the end of the movie, and you see like this really cool flip. But anyways, one of the first scenes with them, like really having a lot of chemistry, is Coleman Domingo takes him into this like he's showing him his little spot and trying to help him with his acting. And at some point, Divine Eye calls him the N-word, and he says, "We don't use that word here. We say beloved." And throughout the rest of the film, there's the N-word is not used, and they only call each other beloved, and it's only in very touching moments of vulnerability, and it's just a really beautiful feature. It's super effective, and it's just a beautiful and the
tale.
look on Coleman Domingo's face when he says that, because he's intimidated. Like, this guy has a shiv in his pants, and Coleman Domingo knows that. I keep calling him Coleman Domingo because I can't remember his character. Divine G. But like it's a very tense scene, and he almost breaks the tension by being like gentle and loving and just.
And it's out of his love for his fellow theatermen, and also out of a recognition for Divine Eye and how hurt he is, because he's like, you have a shiv in your waistband. These men in here in this group, that is all they have. Do not take that away from them, and that thing is the first thing that will get us shut down. And he's like, do not do that, because I am protecting them, and I want you to be a part of that so I can protect you as well. But you have to open up to us. It's incredible.
The beloved thing. I can't.
Yeah, that's one of the most stunning quotes in the movie, and like in a movie full of like some quotes that I will ruminate on for a long time.
Another thing I wanted to, I know you're dying to talk, but this is the last thing I really want to say. There's the play that they're doing becomes some mishmash of Hamlet and time travel, and there's all kinds of weird stuff going on. There's pirates,
there's Wild West, there's Egyptians.
It's insane, and it's wonderful, and I love it. But Coleman Domingo auditions for Hamlet, and he does To Be or Not to Be, and his performance of that monologue gave me goosebumps, and then later on in the movie you see Divine Eye do it.
That sequence is
and it blows
unbelievable.
my mind, and it's the way he finishes it.
It's the way he's walking.
Yes.
The way he's pacing while he's saying it.
So well shot. Another thing, the lighting, the cinematography.
Yeah, shot on 16mm film stock. Just beautiful.
The lighting!
Looks a lot like The Holdovers.
Yes.
But The Holdovers was also shot on digital and run through film grain. But it has like that very... It feels modern, and these feel like modern ideas and shots, but it still feels classical. I was just absolutely blown away by this movie. I did like a lot of research into the backstory of it, and like I've spoiled so much of the experience just by talking about the fact that the guys are real. So I hope that you did heed my call to just pause it and just watch the movie and then come back and check this out, because it is like that moment where it's running through the credits and it's showing the real footage and like showing each character in the movie and saying this guy as himself is like one of the craziest realizations I've had.
And I almost like had
year.
that feeling though, like watching the movie. I was almost like, I wonder if these guys are them.
And it is, because it feels that authentic.
Yeah. And even if they hadn't been, I would have been like, cool, they could have been, because wow.
Oh,
wow. What? This is just...
It's beautiful. There's a moment when...
This is incredibly... The design is very human.
Arguably, there are so many like favorite moments in this movie. I think my favorite scene in this movie is in a moment of like downtime for one reason or another. One of the men that was originally part of the group that had gotten out comes to visit everybody, and he comes in and he sits and he has this conversation with them, and it's just like it's just this monologue. It's just him monologuing about how the things he loves to do on the outside, and how he'll take his car and load up and pick a destination and he'll fly down the highway at 60 with his dog, and then he talks about like how he had to put his dog down and how he has to come here to get this like therapeutic release, because it's not the location, it's the people. And it's his ability to be vulnerable with these people, because he talks about being vulnerable with people on the outside and how they're taking advantage of that.
And he also mentions like how his dog was the only one that was happy to see him, so clearly he didn't come.
And it's just it's like sad to see this juxtaposition of these men that are all incarcerated and are all wanting to be free, and this man who is free, who loses what he has while he's free, and he feels more comfortable in incarceration. And there are just so many like beautiful moments of that are just such true testaments to humanity and to human psychology and pathos, and it is absolutely beautiful. And I if you guys have my Vudu login, watch this movie, because it's on my Vudu now.
At least like 3 of you do.
Yeah, and if you don't, seek this movie out, because it is unbelievable. So I've talked enough about it at this point to where I feel like it's a fairly collective conversation. This is one we'll do a highlight
again. I feel like there have been a lot of movies that
I am going to talk about this movie in the future.
I was going to say, I feel like there have been a lot of movies that have come out since we started doing the pod that we will highlight in the future, because we try not to spoil things in a roundup.
I feel like
much.
I feel like it could be time to go ahead and take the lid off the Brutalist. Do you want to blast out like a quick conversation about the Brutalist, or is there anything that's been resonating with you on that in recent memory?
I had not been prepared for that at all. I'm sorry,
that
came out of left field.
That's totally okay. I think I've thought about it so much at this point that I could probably just talk about it at length and some of the ideas and themes that are posed by it. And I did mention that like very briefly in talking about Sing Sing earlier, where I think that the Brutalist is a little bit more of a selfish tale, where Sing Sing is legitimately just like this tale of love for humanity.
The Brutalist is about one man.
It is, and it's about all artistry in general.
Yes, but it's about.
But it's very thoroughly about like Brady Corbet's experience, and
it's not really about like his experiences with his family, and so like that is huge in the movie, and like obviously his relationships with people are very important, but it's about Adrian Brody's character and Laszlo Toth. Is that his name?
Toth, yeah. The Brutalist is very parabolic and very on the nose with some of its parabolic telling in a lot of it. particularly with spoilers, the rape sequence, where this, very rich patron is literally raping this artist. But
I thought he was going to take advantage of him, but gosh.
Yeah. Sing Sing is very much a personal tale told to show that there is a path forward. And The Brutalist ends on this note where it has this commentary where literally the last quote in the movie is, maybe it is the journey, or maybe it is the destination, not the journey. And I kind of take issue with that. And
I hate that quote.
I really do. I also, the more I've reflected on it, the more I hate the scene where Felicity Jones comes in and
Joe Alwyn drags her.
You're an evil rapist. I love the way that he drags her. I love the way that the rest of that shot resolves, but her confronting him about it really does not feel very true. And I understand the fact of, the people that are backing you most will come to defend you and this idea, but that does not feel like a necessary. I feel like he should have been presented with that information, but anyway.
Yeah, I liked The Brutalist a lot. I think The Brutalist is a remarkable movie. As I've said before, I liked it a lot better than Oppenheimer. But it's also just not... Those American epics are too much for me sometimes.
Yeah,
it's too...
I love stuff like The Master. I love There Will Be Blood.
I love being able to dive into a movie, but when you really, really, really have to dive into too much. I have a hard time hyper-fixating on something like that.
Yeah, the thing about The Brutalist is the subtext isn't really that deep, but it's trying to be confusing enough to make it seem deeper than it actually is.
And I guess you've seen it twice, and I've only seen it once.
Yeah, I've digested it pretty thoroughly at this point, and I like to think so anyway with all the coverage and news articles I read around it. But regardless, in a world where The Brutalist exists and Sing Sing is also existing in the same year and literally promoting this ideology of, we have a path forward. We have a way that we can go. You guys are just choosing not to use it. And you have to make that conscious choice to be more informed about the way that we operate in our togetherness. I think it is an incredibly powerful testament to just human will, and it is beautiful. And I really think it's one of my favorite things I've seen this year. Now I'm very, very recently biased. Yeah, definitely. I'm very, very recency biased on this. I literally saw the movie 24 hours ago for the first time, and then saw it again today. But my God, I think it's amazing.
It's really remarkable. I mean, obviously, I've been sitting with it for, we've been recording for 32 minutes now, so pretty much that amount of time.
Yeah.
And I really think this is going to be one that I don't stop thinking about, but not necessarily one that I have to rewatch over and over again because it's too hard on my heart.
It's not. It is just you feel the beauty of the thing within the first 30 minutes of it. You are just totally enveloped by how beautiful it is to see these rough, not roughneck men, but just these incarcerated men that are struggling with so many things skin. And how much, and all of the faults that they've dealt with in their life, and seeing them escape that, and quoting Macbeth and talking about King Lear, and deciding whether or not they want to do Midsummer Night's Eve for the show, and
Midsummer's Night Dream.
Thank you. Oh my God.
Embarrass yourself now.
It's just really beautiful. I embarrass myself twice a week on this podcast.
Hey, so do I. Yeah, I felt so much during this movie. I typically do really connect emotionally to movies.
It is a very intimate connective tissue movie.
This affected my brain chemistry, and there were parts where I felt somebody was squeezing my heart because I was just
it is
hurting so
that.
much for these men, in those deep,
hurting for them, but you're also you feel pride for them.
Oh yes, I was gonna say, in those really deep moments of vulnerability that almost each of these men gets, it's so poignant, and just and them being them not playing a character and them actually being
you finding out that they're playing themselves is
even more gut-wrenching,
stunning.
And it's just
I spoiled it for myself yesterday before I finished the movie because I got on Letterboxd just to see what the scores were, and I looked at the first review and it said it's as each as himself was rolling across the screen. I started crying.
Me too. There's just so much to this because these men have actually made this of themselves. It's not just a story. Like,
It is a testament. It is a very strong testimony.
I'll be sitting with this one for a long time, and I probably will be talking about it for quite a while.
Yeah, it is definitely going to be on my recommended for anybody to watch list. It is not dry, but it is very slow and very, very plotted. And if you do not feel yourself being won over by beautiful things like that very often, then you're probably going to have some struggle with just getting through this movie. But let me rest assured and just say these are the things that will help us to move forward as humanity, as a collective group of people that are struggling with so many things, divided across every topic. These are the moments where we can come together and agree and say, this is something that is more important than I or you or anything.
This is such a good thing.
It is such a beautiful, beautiful statement to put out to the world, and I applaud everybody that's involved.
And the fact that, I'm going to bring it up one more time, and then I'll shut up about it. The fact that Amelia Perez got nominated for Best Picture over this is an abomination.
Yeah,
an abomination.
A crime that I will not forgive the Academy for.
How are you going to look at a story that is actually this important and this beautiful and nominate a story that has been rejected by the people that it claims to support?
Yeah. I do not know, and Academy,
get it together.
The ball is in your court.
I beg of you.
And if Amelia Perez wins Best Picture for this year, which I have a sneaking suspicion that it won't due to the opening comments of this podcast, and the way that things are generally trending in society with it, I certainly hope it doesn't.
If it does, we're just going to start our own Oscars, and we're going to call them...
I was legit thinking about doing that. I was like, okay, if the Oscars win this year, we are going to have our own Oscars. Or if Amelia Perez wins this year, we're going to have our own Oscars. What are we going to
call them? Not Oscar.
The Davies.
The Davies?
Davies. The Couchies.
The Couchies. Ooh, I like the Couchies.
The Couchies. We'll do the Couchies later this year. Yeah, that's all I want to say about Sing Sing, and I'm sorry if I've spoiled it for people that
we did. We definitely did.
We definitely did.
We got too into it.
It is just so incredible.
I'll have Zach go back and edit in a little thing and be like, "Hey, really don't listen. Really don't listen."
I will.
This point.
Future Zach will be making an appearance earlier in this podcast. Future Zach, I hope you did not say anything that is going to get me canceled.
Oh my gosh.
Okay,
that would be past Zach.
Well, it is future Zach because the conscious me right now is making the decision to do it in the future. So it will be in the past to the listener, but it will be the future for me. So does that matter?
I was trying to make a joke about...
I don't understand time travel, man.
I was trying to make a joke about Carla Sofia Gascon saying bad stuff in the past.
Oh, well.
And you said canceled, so I was... Yeah.
Yeah, can't wait for the Oscars.
Jokes are always funnier when you explain them.
What is it? Afro-American Korean Festival or whatever that she said.
Yeah, and then she said that nobody cared about George Floyd because he was a drug pusher. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just...
Ladies and gentlemen, your best actress.
Sometimes you just shut your mouth. I had to stop myself from saying more than I want to on this podcast, but sometimes just shut up. That's the best policy, is just shut up. Okay, moving on.
And I'm not going to.
This weekend, there are a couple of things going on.
Things, one or two.
For starters, big one. Before the release of Mickey 17, Parasite is going to be re-released in IMAX. Let's go, people. Let us go.
Bring it to me, please.
Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to go see Parasite.
I just need to see that shot of the man coming up the stairs on the biggest screen possible.
The eyes over the top of the stairs. Yep.
Thank you. One of the most haunting shots.
Literally any shot of that house, I'm good. Like the shot where she's doing the the shot put in the backyard. I don't know what the traditional shot put is, but they use the sling. Like she's slinging it.
Oh yeah.
And flings it off into the distance.
Beautiful. I saw a clip of it the other day when she's making the Ramdan.
The Ramdan, yeah.
I love it. And then the mom is like, "Oh my gosh," she's like, "Well, you could have it." She's like, "No, wait, I'll bring it to my husband." There's sirloin in this.
Yeah.
Every time I'm like, "Dang."
Yeah, that whole sequence is so beautiful because it's literally like
so much,
she doesn't know how to make ramdan, which is like a traditionally poor people meal in Korea, and like she's making it with sirloin, and I love Parasite. Anyway, I will definitely be doing that in IMAX this weekend. There's also three premieres, one of which is technically not a true premiere for this week, but is premiering in IMAX. That is Becoming Led Zeppelin. This is the first documentary officially rostered and allowed to go through by the members of Led Zeppelin. Many of the members are in the documentary themselves. I am absolutely stoked for this one. I can picture a few of the moments that they're going to do in the movie, and I'm already about to leap out of my chair. I'm pretty sure I will be dancing at the premiere.
Oh my gosh, Stairway to Heaven, bro. Are they gonna give us all 7 minutes?
If they do,
she's by.
If they do them recording like Ramble On or anything like that, I'm gonna lose my mind. Anyway, I will definitely be seeing that one. It's Tolkien, Mom. Hard Eyes is also coming out this weekend. This is a horror slasher movie about this killer that kills people in Seattle on Valentine's Day every year.
Typical
it happens. This will be like a very Happy Death Day kind of movie.
I'll probably go see it.
And then
horror movie.
Finally, Ke Huy Quan is coming back. Love Hurts. This is Ke Huy Quan's first movie since Everything Everywhere All at Once. He's doing a lot of his own stunts again, which is freaking awesome.
I'm obsessed.
I'm pretty excited for this one. It looks
he's
like it's
our
gonna be,
generation's Jackie Chan.
Undoubtedly, and I think he alone is going to sell this movie. And
100%. I have no interest in
curious
seeing
to see
this
the
movie
reaction.
except for the fact that he's in it.
Yeah, it looks like it'll be very good. It's going to be like it's going to be a comic romp. Basically just about like him fall. I don't remember much of the trailer for this one, but I saw a lot of fighting. I saw him being very romantic. It looks very fun.
Being very romantic.
Yeah, so we will definitely be checking these out this weekend, but that is about all I've got to say. Do you have anything you want to say?
Go watch Sing Sing.
Yeah.
Go see Companion. I think I really didn't talk about it enough because I was so immersed in Sing Sing. I probably should have waited like an hour or two and processed.
I really thought
that
about
movie
recording before and then recording after, but I didn't want to.
Yeah, we probably should have in hindsight, but that's 2020 and it's 2025, and here I am telling you to go see Companion.
5 years late, looking back at 2020. What's 2020 vision?
It's fun. Jack Quaid is good in it. Sophie Thatcher is very good. Lucas Gage, the guy I can only ever see him as Guillermo from What We Do in the Shadows. I don't know his actual name. He's very fun in it. Mr. Wickham. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
It'd be fun.
It's very fun. It's a very, very fun movie. There's this bit at the beginning where their cars are basically Teslas but better, and she thanks the AI for getting them to the destination, and this is before she's a robot, and she's like, thank you, and she tells him to thank the robot, which I just think is really funny because I mean, obviously,
I
there's the whole bit with her, yes, but that's a real person thing where people are like, "Say thank you, Siri."
That's my favorite. My favorite thing is doing a command and just being like, "Turn the porch lights on, turn the light on, or whatever," and then I'll just be like, "Hey Siri, thank you."
Yeah, you gotta
thank you for all you do.
Thank the robot.
Don't forget.
One of these days, you never know.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to thank your local robot. Don't forget to thank your local incarcerated person for any theater productions they may be putting on. And we will definitely be back to you with our weekly highlight later this week. We'll put a poll up on our Insta in a little while tomorrow.
Boys and girls.
Tomorrow it'll be today for you guys, but
Heyo.
Keep an eye out for it. And you guys have a fantastic rest of your week, and we will catch you on the other side.
Bye.
See you.